Chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. The history of chocolate dates back centuries. This presentation touches only a small amount of the history on the discovery of chocolate, the farming, the value, and how chocolate has played such an important part of our history. Cacao originated in South America, which is located in the upper Amazon basin, and from there it spread east. It is the mirror image of coffee that originated in Africa near Ethiopia, which spread to the west. In 1 year, the world produces 3 million tons of cacao. That is less than half of the coffee crop, which is 9.5 million tons. The word cacao versus cocoa. The two words mean the same thing. Cocoa is the English adaptation of the word cacao. There are differences between the two. Cacao refers to the cacao beans that have not been roasted, meaning still in purest form. Cocoa is made of beans that have been roasted and processed into a chocolate product, such as a powder or chocolate bars. Planting. It takes at least 5 years before cacao trees begin developing pods. Nearly all cacao trees grow within 20 degrees north or south of the equator in tropical climates. 75% of all trees grow within 8 degrees of either side of the equator. Cacao trees grow in 3 main regions: West Africa, South and Central America, and Southeast Asia. The trees thrive on year-round moisture, heat, and shade. Growing. The fruit of the cacao tree is a melon-shaped pod that grows directly from the tree's trunk or limbs. The pods begin as small flowers, which are pollinated by a tiny midge rather than a bee. Successfully pollinated flowers bear fruit, and that fruit becomes the cacao pod. Seeds or beans. There are anywhere from 20 to 50 cream-colored seeds, also called beans, inside each pod. The seeds, each roughly the size of an olive, are surrounded by a milky white pulp. As pods ripen, they turn varying shades of orange, yellow, and red. 90% of the world's cacao is grown on small family-run farms, no larger than 12 acres. Magical chocolate. As early as 450 BC in the southern part of Mexico, the Aztec Indians believed that cacao seeds were a gift from the serpent god Quetzalcoatl, who was one of the most important gods, a god of wisdom in ancient Mesoamerica. Mayans and Aztecs made fermented beverages from the cacao seeds. They believed the bean was magical and had divine properties. It was used for sacred rituals such as births, marriages, and death ceremonies. Liquid chocolate. Cacao has existed for thousands of years and is one of the oldest foods from nature. Chocolate was consumed mostly as a liquid and not as a solid for 90% of its history. The beverage was made using the cacao beans. They were roasted and ground into a powder along with water and spices. The liquid chocolate was a bitter drink with a froth mixed with corn puree, spices, and later sugar. This chocolate-flavored drink was usually reserved for aristocrats and warriors. Cacao beans were also used as currency by the Mayan and Aztec cultures. Perhaps this is where the saying, "money grows on trees," comes from. Fashionable drink. In Europe by the 17th century, chocolate was still considered to be the fashionable drink for the wealthy. Chocolate was believed to be medicinal, nutritious, and have aphrodisiac properties. It was rumored to be one of Casanova's favorites. It remained a privilege of the rich until the beginning of the Industrial Revolution and the invention of the steam engine around 1765. As a result, this made production of chocolate possible. First chocolate factory. The Baker Chocolate Company is the oldest producer of chocolate in the United States. The company was formed in 1764 when a physician by the name of Dr. James Baker met John Hannon on the banks of the Neponset River. John Hannon, who was an Irishman, was penniless but was a skilled chocolatier, a craft which had been learned in England. During this time, the craft was still exclusive to Europe. With the help of Baker's money and Hannon's skilled trade, they were able to set up a business. The pair built America's first chocolate mill, and the original brand name was Hannon's Best Chocolate, which has manufactured for almost 15 years. The name was changed in 1780 after Hannon's wife, Elizabeth Gore Hannon, sold the company to Baker in 1780 after Hannon never returned from a 1779 sailing trip to the West Indies to purchase cocoa beans. In 1828, the invention of the hydraulic press was developed by a Dutch chemist by the name of Conrad Johannes van Houten. He found a way to make powdered chocolate by removing about half of the natural fat, the cacao butter, from the chocolate liqueur, pulverizing what remained and treating the mixture with an alkaline salt to cut the bitter taste. His product became known as Dutch cocoa, and it soon led to the creation of solid chocolate. This marked the beginning of the modern way of chocolate production, thus made the manufacturing of chocolate more affordable. Milton Hershey. Using equipment he purchased at the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition, Milton Hershey began experimenting with boiled milk, sugar, and cacao beans in an effort to create affordable milk chocolate that could be mass-produced. In a few years, he perfected his recipe and by 1903 was breaking ground for a new factory in the town that bears his name, Hershey, Pennsylvania. Ruth Wakefield was a remarkable woman for her time in the 1920s and 1930s. She was a college graduate, a dietitian, educator, business owner, and an author. In 1928, Ruth and her husband, Kenneth Donald Wakefield, bought a tourist lodge and named it the Toll House Inn, located in Whitman, Massachusetts. It was a place where travelers paid a toll, changed their horses, and could purchase a home-cooked meal. Ruth had been serving a thin butterscotch nut cookie with ice cream for dessert and wanted to serve her guests something different. Around 1937, she decided to break up bits of a Nestle semi-sweet chocolate bar and added it to the cookie dough. Once the popularity of her cookie grew, sales of Nestle's semi-sweet chocolate bars also grew. Andrew Nestle and Ruth Wakefield settled on a business deal. She gave Nestle the right to use her cookie recipe and the Toll House name for $1 and a lifetime supply of Nestle chocolate. It is the most popular cookie worldwide, and it is the official cookie of Massachusetts. This is a copy of Ruth Wakefield's original Toll House cookies recipe. Enjoy!